October 23rd, 2024 is now in session. City Council meeting of October 23rd, 2024 is now in session. Do we have a representative from PCWA?
Pledge allegiance.
You all stand and join me as we say the pledge of allegiance. Salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Oh. Okay. Roll call. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Burris. Here. Councilmember Hilberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Loman.
Here.
Councilmember McCauley. Here. Mayor Douglas.
Present. Okay, next we have approval of the agenda order. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda order?
I have a motion that I would like to move 9B up ahead of 9A.
Okay.
We have somebody from Placer County that would like to speak to us, and in deference to that, they needed to be early in the meeting. So the earlier, the better.
Okay. That's okay with me.
So due to respect for time, is the request to just put it before 9A, or are you asking that maybe we bump it up even earlier in the meeting?
That would be okay.
Okay.
I'm open to that.
I would be supportive of putting it right after public comment if everyone else would be supportive of that.
I would as well.
It's fine with me. Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, motion carries. So 9B gets moved to after public comment.
I'll officially provide the second for that, and then if you wanted to do a vote, Kim?
Okay, we'll do a vote. Okay, do I
That's my
hear,
motion. That's right. So you need a
do I
second.
hear a second?
On second.
Sean seconded.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries. So we're moving 9B.
After seven, was that?
After 7 public comment. Okay,
And then we'll take everything else in order.
okay. You remind me of old videos because it's a long ways off. Okay, next we move to. Do we need to approve the agenda order with that change? We did it, okay.
You're on 2E.
Statement, I always miss that. Do any council members have a conflict of interest, any change in their? Okay, no, then we move on to 3A,
Consent calendar.
consent calendar.
Motion to approve consent.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All
I'm
those in-
sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and pull 3A and 3B, just so that I can, not vote on those since I wasn't present, haven't had a chance to review them.
All righty, do I hear an approval with 3A and 3B?
Move to approve 3A and 3B.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Abstained?
Abstain? Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve the remainder of the calendar.
Get your motion?
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All righty. What are we on? What are we on? Agency reports?
Agency reports.
Agency reports 4A, Placer County Sheriff.
It's on. There we go. Hello, everyone. Deputy King with Placer County Sheriff's Office. Nothing new to report since I did give the monthly report at the beginning of this month. While I'm up here, anybody have any questions, recent events, anything like that you guys have to bring up with me? You guys good? Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, CHP.
Yeah.
No CHP, then Cal Fire. No CHP.
Good evening, Clint Seaver, Placer County Fire, Cal Fire here in Battalion Chief here in Colfax. And this last week, we did have the red flag warnings We staffed up additional resources for that event. And we did have one fire that was over off the Mount Olive area. Our local 2 engines here out of Colfax was one of the first driving engines I've seen and helped put that fire out at 1/8 of an acre, and it's still under investigation. Other than that, no other significant events that happened this last week. We did attend the VFW dinner for the engines that are here in Colfax, and thank you very much for having us. It was a great event. And with the cooler weather comes burning, and so burning should be permitted here in the next couple of weeks. And to get a burn permit, it's still online. The process is burnpermits.fire.ca.gov. You go there to get your residential burn permit on, it's all online. It's approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, nonprofit. Representatives from nonprofit.
Hi, I'm Gail Adams from the Colfax Garden Club. I'm the president of the Garden Club, and I'm here to ask the board or ask you guys if you would have any space for us to put our Christmas decorations. We have boards, wooden boards. There's about 20 of them that we have to store in upstairs, and it's a bunch of old ladies that are moving these boards upstairs and downstairs, and it becomes very cumbersome. And I was wondering if the city has any area that we could store those. They just have to be under cover. It doesn't have to be air conditioned or heated. But if you had any area that we could put those, and that's why I'm here. And if you could discuss it, let me know. That would be great.
How many boards, like how much space are you needing?
There's about 20. We got your candy canes and we got your figurines, and they're all wooden and painted. I'm sure you've seen them at Christmas time. So if you'll consider that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other nonprofit?
Hi, good evening. Amanda Palmquist with the Colfax Area Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to let you guys know about a few things we have coming up. I know trunk or treat, I think we still have 2 spaces or 3 spaces left if anybody wants to participate. We just ask that you be and on Main Street by 3:30. It's going to be 4 to 6, and we're going to have barriers put up. So once the cards are there, they stay inside. And then leave after 6 o'clock. Also, we have coffee and conversations coming up. It's going to be at the Wrecking Crew on November 7th this time instead of the chamber. And it's going to be more of an economic development kind of roundtable that I'm going to co-lead with Larry Hilberg. And we're going to be discussing some ideas, I guess, that everybody has. So not just businesses, but community members that have reached out and have ideas about ways to get more involved in the community and what they can do to help the city of Colfax. We have a couple of members that have created a questionnaire, and they're going to come up and talk about it a little bit during the public comment session. And then we have our marketing Monday is going to be November 18th, and we have someone coming from Placer County Employment Department. So the last couple of marketing meetings, we've been talking about branding and what to do to really help your business bring people off the freeway when we have like the big snow season coming up and people going to Tahoe and such. And this is going to be more about how the county can kind of come alongside and help businesses. And they have people that have been doing job training, and they will help by providing the pay for them up into, I think, she said about $10,000. So there's that. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. That's just a lot of things.
Okay, thank you. Any other nonprofit? Jeez. Next, we move to 5A, presentations by the History of Colfax Area Living War Memorial Ballpark by Connie Marson.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, inviting me here. I appreciate it. I wanted to present the history of the ballpark because my husband passed away on July 4th. And we had the memorial up at the ballpark. And people from out of town would Google the Colfax ballpark and they would only come up with a Colfax children's park. And they didn't know the correct name of the Living War Memorial Ballpark. It was founded in 1949. Well, let me tell you a little bit of history about the baseball in Colfax first. It started in the early 1900s, and there was actually a ball field up from the depot. They had a roundhouse up there, and it was a very rudimentary field. They played there, and then eventually, well, that was with the Placer Nevada League of Baseball, and people from Placerville and Auburn and Lincoln and everywhere came to play. And eventually they made another field out by the high school, and that was the Rising Sun Mine Park. Problem being out there, the field wasn't level. So you'd look out at the left fielder and you'd only see him from about here up because it sloped down. In one particular game they were playing Placerville, and they had to stop the game because there was a rattlesnake that had crawled onto pitcher's mound. So they stopped the game and then they continued after they dealt with that. But there was often a problem out there because there was a rattlesnake pit out there. Colfax knew about it, but a lot of the other teams didn't. And during that same game, some of the bleachers collapsed. So there was a gentleman by the last name of West from Placerville, and he owned a large construction company over there and said, gee, it's too bad Colfax doesn't have a better field to play on. So, and he said, I would be willing to donate the equipment and the labor if Colfax were to find a place to build a park. So that's kind of how it got started. And then in 1945, I think, was when they decided that, gee, we really do need a new park. So I'll just read what I wrote here. Groundbreaking for Colfax Ballpark was held on March 3rd, 1949. It was the result of planning and fundraising by a group of residents known as the Living War Memorial Committee, which was formed in 1947. Officers were Chairman Oswald Marson, which was my husband's grandfather. He was a merchant. Vice Chair T.H. Randall, manager of PG&E office in Colfax. Treasurer Leonard Prisk, manager of the Colfax branch of Bank of America. And Secretary Jean Ditmore, Justice of the Peace. Members included H.A. Whittick, an automotive dealer, Harry Gould, an agent with Southern Pacific, Armando Cellini, commander of the American Legion, Paul Coble Jr., commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Chester Gibbs, manager of the Colfax Telephone Exchange, Bernice Williams of Williams and Visha Grocery on Main Street there, John Fulton, a public accountant, Dr. F. Lynn Smith, a physician and surgeon, William Schultz, he was mayor at the time of Colfax, and Fred Eason, master of Sierra Nevada Grange. Groundbreaking started after the committee finalized the plans and raised nearly $8,000. Don't you wish that was the cost today? Approximately 40,000 cubic yards of earth was moved before building could begin. The building for the press box and snack shack was built in 1958 and dedicated to Scoop Thurman, Colfax record editor. And Scoop was also a big player in the Placer Nevada League also. So if you got one of these, I just kind of want to go through this with you, starting at the front page. So this was what they gave to the founders of the park. And I have a whole list a couple pages back. But moving on to that page, the 29 there, that was by Pat Jones, and she did a history of the Colfax area. I don't know if any of you have read her book. It's really interesting. It tells the whole history of Colfax. And I'm just going to read a little bit from that. The first game played in the newly organized Placer Nevada League, and the date was April 13th, 1923. That was a long time ago, and baseball was a huge part of Colfax because it was before televisions. And people, they loved their baseball, going back way back to Cooperstown and whatnot. So it wasn't unusual to have several hundred people at a baseball game. And usually the home team would have a barbecue and, feed the other team afterwards. And it was, a very nice community event. According to HeBook's records, Colfax had a team that traveled to Auburn on May 19th, 1889, and edged out the home team 12-0. Colfax has always been known to be having good ball players and stuff. And then we move on, and I just added this piece right here because I thought it was funny. You can read that through. I'm not going to go through all of this to save time for you people. They acquired finally about 2.5 acres up here where the park is now. And it was purchased by the Moore Memorial Group for $500. And it was a lease agreement for 2 years, I guess, to prove to the people that they really were going to make this park. And after the 2 years, the title was in the clearing stage. So it became the property of Colfax. And then we show the next page, the site of the Living War Memorial Park right there. That's what it looked like. And like I said before, they had to move 40,000 cubic acres of dirt to level that out. And they never did really at that time get it level because there was a lot of rock and whatnot there. And so the distance from second base to third base was not quite regulation. But eventually, people that worked for the SP and mind you, a lot of these were veterans. And they'd go up after work and, pick up rocks and get them out of the way. And everybody cared. Everybody was involved. So eventually they were able to move that back to where they could get a regulation field. And there's just a couple pictures of that. And then the next page, yeah, that one. I can't read anymore. My eyes are bad. Hearing goes bad and all that stuff. It's wonderful. The idea to build a park was first suggested by Alan Scoop Thurman in a special VJ edition of the Colfax Record, which came out on September 7th, 1945. As Thurman wrote, the Colfax Record herewithin announces that it will sponsor the solicitation of funds for the purchase of a site for a living war memorial to be dedicated to the memory of the boys from this area who made the supreme sacrifice in the war, which just ended. And that would have been World War II. What could be more fitting than a living memorial to the memory of those who gave their lives, that our way of life might continue? Oh, yes, I know that some will say that such a proposal will cost too much money, but will it? Many local citizens have been talking about giving our boys a big time when they come home. If you gave them a park, a baseball diamond, and a swimming pool, I know they will appreciate it. Those who do not remain here will be glad to know that the kids who are here will be getting a break that they did not have when they were kids. A park, baseball diamond, and a swimming pool have been a great need in this city for many years. We can do something of a real constructive nature in behalf of the boys and girls of Colfax and this area in general. We know that we will have the support of the city council. That's where I'm here too, because history gets lost, and I don't want it to be lost. We've already done this. We don't need to reinvent the wheel again. Let us dedicate a park in Colfax as a living war memorial to our hero dead. Spearheaded by former Mayor Oswald Marson, the effort to launch the new park today took nearly 4 years of planning and months of hard work. Finally, the Living War Memorial Park became a reality on that first weekend in May of 1949. After the Placer Union High School band gave a brief concert on Main and Grass Valley streets and then marched up to the park, to a crowd of nearly 800 people was on hand and welcomed by Master of Ceremonies Ralph Mitchell. Following the flag raising were ceremonies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars and American Legion. Mitchell introduced Frank Booth of Marysville, a member of the state's Recreation Committee, who responded with a brief talk in which he congratulated the city of Colfax. Marson, the former mayor, he was mayor for 8 years, by the way. Marson, the former mayor of Colfax and chairman of the War Memorial Committee, was introduced next. Marson gave a brief review of the project, which was completed in 60 days. Following the arrival of the first piece of dirt removing equipment at the park site, I guess they didn't have to go through all the curves and everything that you have to go through now to get anything done. This is another thing happens, you forget where you're at. In closing his remarks, Marson introduced Harvey West Sr. That was the man that I told you about from Placerville that had the construction company that said he would donate the equipment and the labor to excavate the area. Marson told the people present of the great assistance and encouragement given to the committee by West. West responded by noting that he was pleased to be able to help Colfax build a new park. He noted that last year at the old Rising Sun Park, a rattlesnake had appeared on the diamond, stopping the game, and the bleachers later collapsed. Mayor William Schultz was then called upon for the concluding talk, and the mayor paid tribute to all who made the project possible. Following the mayor's talk, the ball game between Placerville and Colfax got underway. At the conclusion of the game, a free barbecue was held on Grace Hubley Jones' property at the west end of the park. It was a big deal back then. Then the next couple pages, it lists all the donors and the people who contributed. And back then, a lot of this stuff was done by volunteers and people got involved. I wanted to read back here. This impressed me a lot. Because now I know that you guys go through how businesses, what kind of businesses you want on Main Street and that type of stuff. The thing about back then, all of those business owners were involved in the community. They showed up, they worked, they dedicated time. And I think that's lost a little bit. You know, everybody seems to be kind of in it for themselves. Groundbreaking for Colfax Ballpark was held March 3rd, 1949. It was the result of planning and fundraising by a group of residents known as the Living War Memorial Committee, which was formed in 1947. Officers were Chairman Oswald Merchant, Vice Chairman T.H. Randall, manager of PG&E in Colfax, Treasurer Leonard Prisk, manager of the Colfax Bank of America, and Secretary Jean Ditmore, Justice of the Peace. Members included H.A. Wittick, an automotive dealer, Harry Gould, an agent with Southern Pacific, Armando Cellini, commander of the American Legion, Paul Coble Jr., commander of Veterans of Foreign Wars, C. Gibbs, that would be Chester Gibbs. I knew a lot of these people. Chester Gibbs, manager of the Colfax Telephone Exchange, Bernice Williams of Williams and Vischer Grocery, John Fulton, a public accountant, Dr. F. Lynn Smith, a physician and surgeon, William Schultz, mayor of Colfax, and Fred Eason, master of Sierra Nevada Grange. Groundbreaking started after the committee finalized the plan and raised nearly $8,000. Approximately 40,000 cubic yards of earth was moved before building could begin. The building for the press box and snack shack was built in 1958 and dedicated to Scoop Thurman, Colfax record editor. Okay. moving on here, I just stuck in about the free barbecue that they held. And then the next page talks about the Living War Memorial Park still going strong. I wish it was a little busier up there now, and all it takes is people to get involved. People to start a volleyball league again, people to start softball games again. You know, people to jump in and just do it. People say, I wish they were, but they don't actually do it. The old park at the Rising Sun Flat was never a satisfactory park due to the fact it was not even, full of gravel, granite and rock and trees in the outfield, made it dangerous to field fly balls. Then I just had a picture here of Post 192, the Legion, and just about every one of these people, these veterans, were involved in getting that park started. People got involved. The Sporting Pink was a part of the newspaper that Scoop wrote as the sports page. And he was very much for this area up here too. And then I just included a roster of all the different teams that came to Colfax to play. One of the first one, when the narrow gauge was just coming from Nevada County to Colfax, they brought over ball players from there and unloaded him here at the depot. And they had a game. I thought that was cool. And we won. And then the last page is just something that my husband had wrote in 1999. And if you get the chance, I wish you could read it, because it's talking about getting involved and how involved people were. And I'm not sure how we get them involved again, but it's worth trying to find out. So in conclusion, we want to get a new sign to the ballpark that doesn't just say Colfax Ballpark, because that's not the correct name. The correct name is the Colfax Area Living War Memorial Ballpark. And it was dedicated to the veterans, and especially those that didn't come home from war. And I think that's really important. And so we want to get a new sign, and we want to get a plaque there stating why it was built and who it was built by. So for me, myself, I am very much in the favor of, and I know all you skate park people are here, bless your hearts. I'm for anything for the kids and the people of Colfax. Personally, I would like to see the swimming pool put back. I don't know why it was taken away. I was probably doing, bluebirds and stuff with my kids at the time. I don't know what happened there. There was some speculation, I think, as to the stabilization of the hill and the upkeep of the pool or whatnot. But that pool was built by the people for the people. And I would certainly like that to be a swimming pool again. And I want to get the sign and the plaque there again, and to not forget history. This has already been done. We don't need to reinvent the wheel again. It's already been done. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next is number 6. Public hearing. There is no public hearing, so we move on to item 7, public comment. And we have 2 people for public comment that have filled out a form. So, Daniel.
Good evening, council. Good evening, people of Colfax. This is honestly perfect for what Connie just brought up.
Just a reminder that this is anything that's not on the agenda.
Correct. This is nothing that's on the agenda. Hopefully it will be soon. And it's basically a community Colfax Colfax Community Questionnaire to learn about the community of Colfax. What are their skills and abilities? What are they looking, what kind of resources you guys may have? What are you looking to actually see Colfax be in the next 10 years? And, same thing like Ms. Connie said, we've been a part of a lot of communities, and we know that there's people that want to get active and want to be part of the community. They just don't know how, or they don't know where to go. They don't know where to start. So this Colfax questionnaire is a basic questionnaire. What are your skills? What are your abilities? What are you most passionate about? How would you like to contribute to the community of Colfax? And then that way we can take all the information, compile it, and, see where everybody fits in and what resources we all have. And I think it's a great place to start. And, me and my wife, we've been here about 6 months. We've done a lot of traveling. We've been a part of a lot of different communities. And, whenever we're a part of, we have a 3-year-old son. He'll be 3 tomorrow. So anywhere we go, we love, we're for the kids. And I know inside my heart that I'm only here for a brief moment of time, and the future generation is going to be the next ones to come in. So everything we do, we look for the kids. And, we stumbled upon the community center here, and beautiful community center needs some TLC. And we went to the community meeting, and within moments, we already knew some things that, we could bring to the community center. We've had a lot of successful businesses, and we've had a lot of unsuccessful businesses, but those unsuccessful businesses brought us a lot of success because of the failure that comes with unsuccessful businesses. And, one thing that we saw within the community center was initially you guys have a beautiful commercial kitchen, and we could do a cooking class for children. A lot of these initiatives are for the kids, but it brings the families out. So a cooking class for the children to learn culinary skills, learn, hands-on skills in the kitchen, and then also serve the food back to the community. They can learn how to bus tables, how to serve food, et cetera. And, have a set price of a meal. We figured, since it's getting warm out, we could do a soup, salad, bread, healthy dessert, and whatever money's made goes back to the community center. And, if depending on how big that gymnasium is and how many people we could fit in there and how many people want to be supportive of this, you do one every month, you could easily bring $5,000 to $10,000 in revenue to that place. And there was a couple different initiatives that we've thought of that. Something for the seniors, to bring the seniors there, do mindfulness, meditation, movement, qigong, yoga, tai chi for the seniors. Another thing was to revamp the community center as a community. When we were there in the board meeting, they were talking about bringing a contractor to redo the floors from Auburn and, XYZ. And we've done this before in communities where rather than hiring and paying out, we can make a community project of it where we all come together, we all get some paint, we all get a little dirty, we got some food, we got some drinks, we're having some laughs, build a community wall with our handprints after we get done. You could see, who was a part of it. And it brings the community together, but it also makes them proud of their community center. They want to utilize it. They want to play with it. They're proud of it, and I've seen that within communities when the festers for so long, you drag and, and you're not too proud of, what you have. But I'm here to tell you that it can become beautiful again. It takes us to come together and do it, and have fun doing it with love, doing it with intention. And I'm so happy to see that skate park on this table for the kids, because I know that they've been wanting it, for quite some time, even before we got here. And, I'm just very happy to be part of this beautiful community. We've only been here 6 months and we were so welcomed. And I look forward to collaborating with, the city and the beautiful people of Colfax, the ones that want to be a part of it, the ones that want to contribute. We don't want anybody doing things that they don't want to do. So I thank you. And any questions or?
I do have a quick question. Did you say that you have an organization?
I do. We have multiple.
What organization is?
Well, we're also ambassadors. So the way that we got here was we volunteered for the Big Boy. We wanted to volunteer and then we became part of the Chambers of Commerce. We're ambassadors for them, but we have our own personal nonprofits and C Corps and LLCs and stuff. But we have a 501c3 509B that's more for services, which is called the Garden of Divinity. So we've traveled the world building community, building community farms and, bringing awareness to healthy environments and healthy living, basically.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next on the list is Gail Adams. Oh. Next, Travis.
I don't have much to say. I didn't get here to catch that first lady's name for the presentation, but excellent presentation and history of the ballpark. Love the ballpark. And I would like to throw out there right now that I'd be happy to design the new sign, not pay for it, but design it. And I also discovered it's called Living War Memorial Park. And it's not posted pretty much anywhere there. Nope. And the lady who told me about that, when I looked it up, was Connie Marson. When I first got a job here, I went up in the attic and there was a pile of trash, no joke, this tall, about 8 foot wide, and call it trash. It was documents. And it was when one person left, another person just threw their documents in there. And I took it upon myself to go through every single piece of paper and I indexed them and I filed them. I got a community service worker to help me with Excel and made it happen. So they should still be in the attic. I found some really, really cool documents up there. A lot of which relate to that park. I'm just checking my notes here. Sorry, I'm not trying to look at my phone. Come on, notes, come on, notes. So quick thing, potholes, duh. Just a little bit of cold patch goes a long way. That's all I have to say. Tamales, there was a dude selling tamales on the corner. Apparently county health hit him up after my post. So, darn it, they're killer tamales. Just want to say that. Something she said, from her post, Connie did, the children will be pleased with this new park is what the mayor or officiator said with the pool back when it went in. And same thing with the skate park. The children will be pleased. The reason the pool got demolished was there was a big crack in it at one point, and they determined that it was falling off the hill and it was a potential disaster for the Memorial Veterans Hall and everybody downstream, right? That would be terrible. So that's why the pool was actually demolished. Running the pool was very expensive. You had to have lifeguards, you have to have chemicals, you have to have pumps, motors. I mean, it was just a very intensive thing for the city at that time. And those are the documents that I read that I understood to be true. So that's why the pool was taken away. I am a huge supporter of the skate park. I think it is the best possible plan for that space. Sorry. That's basically it.
Okay,
Have a great day.
thank you. Next up is Connors. Ty Connors. Just kidding. Sharon Connors. Just kidding. Just wanted to wake Ty up.
I'm Sharon Connors with the VFW Auxiliary 2003, and we are working with Connie Marson to make sure that we get those signs done and those plaques. We have flyers out there. We're posting on Facebook, and all that you have to do is get out your checkbook, write a check, mail it to PO Box 213, and we are the caretakers for the money. And Connie gets a report every week of how much money is coming in. And I will tell you that Bill Bean called the other day, and his nonprofit was so generous that they're donating $1,000. We'd like to see some people match that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question, Sharon, before you get back to your seat. I'm sorry.
No
How
worries.
do we properly address those donations on a check?
You just write on there what it's for. On
No,
your notes, the Living War Memorial Veterans Park.
To the VFW auxiliary?
You make the check out to us
Thank you.
and everything is accounted for and Connie's in the loop on it.
And what is the post number for the VFW? I'm partly asking these questions for the.
VFW auxiliary, we're not a post. The veterans are just a post.
Okay.
We are 2003 and the PO box is 213 and it's on the flyer.
Thank you.
It's on Facebook. It's everywhere. And if you don't see it somewhere, call me up and I'll put it there.
Perfect. Thank
That's
you.
it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And next and last on the list is Bobby Candler. Okay,
So excited that we have a whole list.
we're done with public comment and we move on to item 9B, which was moved earlier. 9B is
I believe we probably have a speaker coming in via Zoom that is going to talk about the Placer County elections process and transparencies. His name is Edward I.
Hi, good evening, members of the city council. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm not sure if you're hearing me.
Heads up on Zoom, we're not able to hear you just yet. We're just doing a sound check. Heads up on Zoom, we're not able to hear you just yet. We're just doing a sound check. Heads up on Zoom, we're not able to hear you just yet. We're just.
We were doing so well.
While they're doing that, I'd like to add something that Connie didn't mention. Once is enough.
For the record, we did just this with Zoom. We called him. We could hear each other. We just feedback. 2 days ago.
Thank you, Ron. Good evening. Can you hear me? This is Steve and I from the Placer County Elections Office. If you can hear me, I can no longer hear you.
We can hear you, but it's on repeat. We can hear you, but it's on repeat. We can hear you, but it's on repeat. Right.
Good evening. Is this any better?
Okay, Stephen, go ahead and try again.
Okay, good evening, members of the city council. My name is Stephen I, and I work for the Placer County Elections Office. For Ryan Ronco, the Placer County Clerk, Recorder, Registrar of Voters. That all come through okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me. We were asked to provide a short presentation to you tonight on the election process, including some of the safeguards that are in place to ensure that the election is secure and accurate. I do want to say, for the good of the order, that I am not here to support or oppose item 9B. I'm here to just do a presentation of some of the safeguards we put in place. And when I say some, it's because to tell you all of them would take hours. So we do encourage anyone who has questions or concerns to come visit our main office in Rockland and observe any or all of our processes in person. We are always open to observers. Anytime our office is open, observers are welcome without appointment, without calling ahead. You can come in anytime and ask for a tour. We certainly suggest at times, if there's certain pieces of the process that you're wanting to see, that people call ahead to make sure we're actually doing that process that day, because there are a litany of processes that go into actually running and administering an election. So with that being said, I will jump into some of the main things that we focus on that are generally of concern these days. And one of those is a core piece that only active registered voters in Placer County, or California for that matter, are mailed a ballot. Any voters who are in an inactive or canceled status do not have any election materials mailed to them. We maintain our voter rolls on a daily basis. We have dedicated staff that their entire job is working registrations, and that entails taking new registrations, whether they be paper or online registrations, and processing those, receiving data from the USPS address change service for seeing if somebody has put in a change of address with the post office. We get that data. If they've moved in county or out of county, we update that registration accordingly. We process death records weekly from the clerk, the county clerk, which Mr. Ronco is also the county clerk. So we get those death records every day, really. They're worked every week to remove folks who have passed away from our rolls. We work any records in the statewide database system, VoteCal. If somebody has registered in a different county, that system says, hey, we think you have a registration for that matches this person, you would need to look at it and figure out, is this the same person? Do they need to be moved out of your county? Is it not the same person, etc.? We also, that same system will say, hey, you have looks like you have a duplicate registration, which happens rather frequently when people, for instance, do something at the DMV, they use the middle initial or their full middle name, whereas on their original voter registration card, they didn't use a middle name at all, or just a middle initial. And so since that data isn't a perfect match, the system asks us to validate and verify that to see if it is the same person or not. We also process any mail that's undeliverable to remove those people from our rolls. If we're mailing somebody something comes back from the post office as undeliverable, those people get processed all the time, but especially post any election, which obviously right now we've mailed out 290,000 roughly ballots and voter information guides. So we'll get a lot of that. I mean, a lot. We'll get hundreds, if not thousands of those back undeliverable. One of the questions that comes with voter roll maintenance is citizenship. And citizenship is validated on every registration, either by the DMV or the Social Security database. That is done by the Secretary of State's office. And that comes to us to validate if they are a citizen or not. If for some reason citizenship cannot be verified on a new registration, that registration will stay in a pending status until the issue can be resolved. We regularly also check our entire voter registration database for registrations at things like mailbox stores, which are not allowed, or we do actually look for, are there strangely large amounts of registrations at a single address? If we see 50 people registered at a single address, we will immediately investigate that. And it is not always fraudulent. It could be a KOA camp or something along that. So those are a quick snapshot of how we daily manage and work our voter rolls to ensure they're as clean and as up to date as possible. On voting equipment, always something that is paramount importance and concern. Voting equipment in California all has to be tested and certified by the state. You cannot use a voting system if the state hasn't gone through their rigorous testing. All that information, if anyone wants to dig into how voting equipment is certified in California, the Secretary of State's website lists all that out, including each vendor's testing and how that went, what changes happen from version to version that gets retested. After that happens, and we're able to select a system, before every election, we do what's called a logic and accuracy test on every piece of voting equipment. And what that entails is having ballots for that election pre-marked in a certain number. So when we feed those ballots, we can look at the totals and know it should match what the pre-marked decks were designed to total. So every machine goes through, any machine that's used in the election goes through that testing. Of course, is not used if it doesn't match. That's not something that really happens as far as a machine not tabulating correctly. But we do that on every single tabulation machine, whether it's one that goes to a vote center or polling place, or one that's in our centrally counts in our office. All that equipment, all voting equipment is very tightly, we have tight chain of custody. We use seal logs that are individually labeled, that are tamper evident, to ensure nothing got opened or access that shouldn't be. Those seals we put into logs that are checked prior to election, the start of voting, checked daily during that, and checked at the end of election night to ensure that all those seals are an exact match and intact. If for some reason a seal is broken, which has happened over the years because sometimes our volunteers make a mistake and pull or break one accidentally, that machine, even though we know it's done accidentally, we will not use the results from that machine. We will actually pull all the ballots that went through that machine and count them on a different machine in our office centrally. There are no connections in our voting equipment, no Wi-Fi, no cellular, no satellite, nothing. There is no connectivity. We test for that. We actually have a testing device that detects LTE or Bluetooth signals, and we've run that and tested all of our equipment. Our central database server that actually tabulates everything is within a locked, controlled room in our office in Rockland, and that server is offline. It's all there. It's not connected to anything other than the scanners that are in there to scan vote by mail ballots. Testing and programming of voting equipment is always done in teams of at least two. There is never one person alone who's doing programming or testing. And that is also true of counting. Whenever we're counting ballots, that is always done with at least two people, if not generally more, but it is never less than two people. And when ballots are counted, we store them in sealed boxes that are signed by the people who sealed them and stored within our facility in a locked room. Expanding on that chain of custody, when we pick up ballots from drop boxes or from our vote centers that were dropped off at a vote center, that is done in teams of two as well. The vans that we use to go pick those ballots up, we have GPS trackers in. There are forms that we have in place that those pickup teams fill out and bring back and are validated and checked by staff once they get back to the office. And so again, there's never one person with ballots ever throughout the process. And one of the things about vote by mails that I will say is that every single vote by mail ballot that's returned to our office, the signature is checked by human eyes against the signature on file. So a ballot is never extracted from an envelope to be counted if a human eye has not looked at it. And even going beyond that, for signatures that don't match, or if a voter forgets to sign their vote by mail envelope, what we do is we put that in a challenge status. The next day after receiving and challenging that signature or lack of signature, we will the next day mail a letter to that voter explaining to them that their ballot is challenged and here's why. No signature mismatch, etc. If we have an email or phone number on file for that voter, we will also reach out to them both ways. So we want to make sure every valid vote is counted, and we want to give people the opportunity to fix a signature issue, because over 30 years or 40 years or even 20 years, people's signatures change for a variety of reasons. And you might not remember how you signed your voter registration card versus how you're signing things these days. In addition to that, some online registrations pull the signature from the DMV. And we know DMV signature pads are not great. So sometimes that's hard to correlate as well. So again, we will reach out to those folks immediately with a letter and, if possible, a phone call and an email to say, we need you to let us know that if this signature is good, if you want us to cure it. And most people do, but there are always some people that don't respond. generally because they figure the election's over, their person won or lost, and they're not interested anymore. But that last part's conjecture, just seems to ring true. Beyond that, after election day, while we are still tabulating and processing vote by mail ballots, because vote by mail ballots I've been in the department for 21 years. There's always been vote by mail ballots that we call carry into the canvas because they arrived too late or on election day for us to signature check, extract the ballot from the envelope, and tally by election night. Actually, in the last election, I want to say there was 40 to 50,000 vote by mails ballots dropped off in a drop box or at a vote by mail or at a vote center, or that we received in the mail on election day that obviously we had no way to process. So those have to be processed in the weeks after election day. And we work very hard to process those as fast as possible. But at the same time, about a week after, we also start our 1% manual tally. And what that is we are required by law, as every county in California is, to do a random selection of precincts to hand count the ballots and compare those hand counts against the machine counts. The precincts that are selected for that 1% tally are randomly drawn the day after election day. That random draw is a public process. We post that and it happens at 10 a.m. the day after election day. So this election would be November 6th at 10 in the morning. And that we actually love when people come because they get to participate. We roll dice, we do other things to ensure it's as random as possible for selecting the precincts that we are going to pull and hand count. In Placer County, we don't count 1%. It's really difficult to only count 1% because while it's the law's 1%, that 1% has to include every contest on every ballot in the county. So that is always more than 1%. For us in Placer, we generally hand count between 5 and 10% of all ballots cast in the election during the canvass period. And in one election, we were able to count up to 25% of total ballots cast by hand and compare those. And those have always matched. If they didn't, it would certainly be news, and we would be addressing that if that happened, either a particular scanner or looking at a wider issue. It's just not something that has ever happened. Again, wanting to paint a quick and broad painting for you without spending the hours it would take to dig into just the top layers of what we do and how elections are administered in this state. I would again ask anyone and offer anyone to come to our office, take a tour. We will walk you through the whole office and explain a lot of this. Usually a tour is about an hour, and that helps get an idea of all the moving parts of election administration. But certainly I hope that gave you a good overview. And again, really appreciate the opportunity to present to you tonight. And with that, I want to say thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. I.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to speak first on this issue that we move forward. I felt it important for Ryan opportunity to speak to us. I believe that this particular resolution has nothing to do with the city of Colfax. I'm not totally sure why it's on the agenda. And I believe we should do exactly as Connor and our staff recommended, which is nothing. I believe that votes are counted not only in Placer County, but across the country, professionally, ethically, and accurately. And there's no need to count them in any other way. And I would recommend that we take no action whatsoever.
No, what I'm. So this takes this first, we put at these 4 o'clock.
It doesn't matter. They just need an opportunity. to
Okay.
come.
Well, we have 4 speakers and Brian, do you want to go first, or you probably know the order of your 4 speakers, so.
You hit your mic. Good.
And city staff. Thank you for allowing us to come and make it clear what we're talking about. I appreciate the discussion that we heard. I can also appreciate comments that say there's absolutely nothing wrong with our election process. But the numbers don't support that. We didn't come to you to say that there's problems in Placer County. We came to you, and by the way, I'm a volunteer for the United Sovereigns Americans, a national group with tens of thousands of volunteers across the states. And that's the capacity I'm going to discuss this tonight. We didn't come to you with this resolution because anything was going on in Placer County, although I do appreciate the listening to the discussion. This has to do with the database that's maintained by the voter roll database in Sacramento by the Elections Commission. The numbers do not support the fact that everybody says we don't have a problem in California. There's numbers also from other states. These numbers are so astronomical, it's hard to fathom. And I can appreciate that. But let me tell you, the position that we asked you to take is not a position to say against anything. It was a position to say, in general, in California and across the nation, you support fair and valid elections according to the laws on the books. This is much larger than the interpretation of folks who want to make this only a Placer County issue. It's not. And the data does not support it. Now, for the folks at home, I don't know if they have the resolution or not, but let me read the resolution as was posted on your agenda. Again, this is for a legally valid 2024 election. Whereas it is a recognized civil right, notice civil right, in the United States for every citizen to have free and fair elections. And the right of suffrage can be denied by a debasement or dilution of the weight of a citizen's vote, just as effectively as by wholly prohibiting the free exercise of the franchise. That was in Reynolds Sims USS 533 in 1964. Whereas it is the duty of our election officials to guarantee our elections are accurate and free from distortion. Congress seeks to guard the election of members of Congress against any possible unfairness by compelling everyone concerned in holding the election to a strict and scrupulous observation of every duty devolved upon him while so engaged. The evil intent consists in disobedience to the law. Henry Coy, U.S. 731 in 1988, excuse me, 1888. Whereas our constitutional system of representative government only works when the following four tenets of the election are upheld. The voter rolls must be accurate. National Voter Registration Act, NVRA of 1993. Votes counted must be from eligible voters. U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 2.
Sorry.
That's okay. The number of votes counted must equal the number of voters who voted.
Everybody gets 5 minutes. Robert or?
Really quick, I'm sure there's a lot of folks at home who are very interested in this language, and I did see that you guys included a link. And some people may register better by actually reading it off of the paper, off the website. So if you don't mind, I'll read the link real quick so those at home can follow along with the discussion.
Okay.
It is UNITE as in unite, 4 as in the number, FREEDOM.com. And it says that additional information about the proposed resolution can be found there. I believe a copy of the resolution is also there. Is that correct? So those at home,
Yes.
if you'd like to read it and know what we're talking about, that's where you can find it. And then we'll make sure that in the meeting minutes, it's there as well. So anybody can. Perfect. But I know sometimes people have more trouble with the agenda packet than they do just going to a quick website.
I got misguided a little bit. I want to take just a few more minutes. Like I said, these numbers are astronomical when you look at it. In California, only 90 errors in the 2022 election were allowed.
Okay, well,
And they're astronomical numbers. So the numbers,
we have
all
to
have
move on to the
opinions,
next
but the
speaker.
numbers don't lie. Thank you.
Correct. Okay, who wants to be next, Robert?
I
or
urge you
Deanna
to
or
sign the declaration.
Adriana?
Good evening, Colfax. It's an honor to be here. I love the history. I love Connie's emotional testimony. It rings true to my heart, especially as a proud American citizen. I live in Placer County. I too am part of the United Sovereign Americans, which is a nonpartisan volunteer group nationwide. I'd like to follow up with what my partner had started with. Our constitutional system of representation of representative government only works when the following 4 tenets of election are upheld. The voter rolls must be accurate. As he mentioned, that's from the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. Votes counted must be from eligible voters. That's from the U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 2. The number of votes counted must equal the number of voters who voted. There can be no more than 1 in 125,000 ballots in error by the voting systems. That's from the Help America's Voting Act, 2002. While I appreciate Mr. I's confidence, and I do believe Placer County does do a very good job, when I read these numbers in the state of California, they're staggering, and they're more staggering across the country. Mr. I mentioned that they do test the machines before, which I think is great. We've all seen in national news this week that the Dominican machine passwords have been exposed for an unknown number of years. It's quite scary to me personally, as someone who believes in the Constitution. The analysis of the California 22 general election has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that appear to violate both federal and state laws, including 5,886,198 ineligible and uncertain registration violations found within the California state voter roll database. 2,776,939 votes cast by ineligible or uncertain registrations. 123,786 more votes counted than voters who voted. No one knows who cast these votes. Again, these are only California numbers. 2,776,849 apparent wrong voting violations in excess of legal standard of system accuracy for a valid federal election. Maximum allowable system errors for the 2022 general elections was 90. I think the difference between 2,776,849 is a little bit different than what is permissible. I urge the city of Colfax to adopt a resolution. We've not had a chance to get in front of the county Board of Supervisors. We have met with multiple cities throughout. I understand the concern you have because we have a very mixed dynamic in California, which makes us that much more beautiful. As I mentioned, we are nonpartisan. We believe in the Constitution and we believe in the fair voting. And I hope all of you do too, because you fight for this beautiful city. We live in Placer County. We have great honor. We still hang the U.S. flag with the words, "In God we trust," and we can only pray that those remain. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. We thought we'd take a short break.
Oh, no, let's do it after the item. Let's finish the item.
Okay,
Thank you. Sorry.
sorry. You're up.
Mayor, Pro Tem, council members, thank you very much for your time. Without legally valid elections, we have no republic. Citizens have no voice in how we are governed. As our closest elected governing body, we appeal to you to amplify our voice and join us in our quest for fair, honest, and valid elections. Citizens advocating for valid elections have been censored, ridiculed, and silenced. Their research has been buried and denied. United Sovereign Americans is a nonpartisan, all-volunteer national organization. It is composed of thousands of citizens, volunteers from more than 20 states across the United States working to ensure legally valid elections that are fair, accurate, and trustworthy. Our experienced data teams from the United Sovereign Americans organization have reviewed extensive state-provided data from the 2022 midterm elections in multiple states. It clearly shows that our voting system is broken. As a result, USA has made legal filings in 9 states: Maryland, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, Texas, North Carolina, Michigan, Colorado, and Georgia. California's electronic voter roll, VoteCal, has been in a state of disrepair for some time, especially since the state has coupled issuing driver licenses to non-citizen and DMV automatic voter registration. Our Secretary of State has been sued multiple times by various organizations for inaccurate voter rolls, yet massive inaccuracies continue to exist. A detailed summary of the United Sovereign America's latest findings, encrypted data files, which verify those findings, and a firm request that these discrepancies in the California voter rolls be investigated immediately was delivered to the California Secretary of State on October 2nd, 2024. We implore you to vote aye. and approve the resolution for a valid 2024 election. Show your respect for your constituents and the necessity of valid elections to the continuance of our great republic. I applaud all the efforts done to date done by the Placer County Elections Office. I believe they are good and honest people doing the best they can. I appreciate Stephen's statement tonight that that their position is neutral to this resolution. While they may not be supporting it, they're not against it either. I believe that they would agree that they have come a far way from what they were doing in the past to what they're doing today, as detailed by Stephen tonight. I trust they will continue their efforts to continue making improvements needed to protect our elections. This issue is bigger than Placer County. We're coming to you as our closest elected governing body, accessible to us. A city part of Placer County, a county part of the state. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker. Any other speakers? No?
I want to restate what I did before. I was not limiting my comments to Placer County. I believe that votes are being counted again professionally, ethically, and accurately all across the country. I do know that the city of Colfax has nothing to do with counting votes. We have no role in the process whatsoever. And we have no reason to take any action as recommended by our attorney. I think there is one item in here I'm going to read. This is the thing that troubles me the most, as long as I'm speaking. It's item 7 about audits. It says all elections pursuant to the 14th Amendment, Section 2 must be performed. These audits are to be conducted by qualified, insured, and bonded security, forensic, or financial auditors, not personnel from within the election system. Just that in itself is unworkable. We have people that are employed and capable of doing their job. And again, we in Colfax have no role in counting votes and no reason to take any position.
I do. So we may not have a role in directly counting votes, Larry, but we do have a role in representing the ideals and requests of the people of our community, which is why I wanted this on the agenda, not necessarily because we're directly involved in counting votes. I agree that Placer County does a great job on their elections. I believe they're fair. I don't believe this is directed directly at Placer County. I've worked for 4 different elections, everything from setting up to counting the final votes at the end. So I know our election process well, and I do know it is operated well by the people that we have in charge of it. I'd like to see us approve this resolution or something along these lines, because there's never a bad time to remind our elected representatives and those appointed under them what is expected of them and what the community and the people they represent would like to see. If there's any changes we want to make to it, I think it's a good time to mention those and see if we want to approve this. That's all I have.
Okay, Caroline, any comments?
I'm not object to having a resolution that we choose to put together. I think that, there are some concerns with what we had in here. Connor did his research on it, and because we cannot verify some of the statements that have been made, I'm hesitant to adopt the resolution that was presented to us. But if you want to put another one together that comes directly from us, I would be totally open to looking at it, if that makes sense.
Okay, Trinity.
I have not had sufficient time to review the numbers here and actually go to the state database myself and look into them, so I would love the opportunity to do that. I would like to draft something that is more specific to Colfax. I think that this is definitely a reasonable starting point. But yeah, I'd like to look into it more. I'd like to look into the information in here a bit more, understand it better before I give support or anything to the particular language. But to Sean's point, you know, I know that there's a lot of concern. I know that there's a lot of questions. And, you know, as elected representatives, I never think it's a bad thing to reaffirm our positions on things, and especially when they're as deeply meaningful as our elections. So I would be supportive of coming back with a new resolution drafted by our staff that incorporates all the points that we'd like to make as a council and all that. And I'd like to see Sean be a big part of that conversation. And Larry, I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't like when we operate in an echo chamber. I think it's really important that we have people with different opinions that are contributing to, you know, where we fall, and any contribution you'd like to make to that as well, I think would be deeply meaningful.
I think anything I could add is what is already being done. I don't see anything here that suggests that the people doing it already are doing a poor job. I can't support any of those numbers. I don't know where they came from. I don't know who put them together. And again, I believe the last thing we ever would want to do is send in a lot of people that have no role in counting votes, people from outside the elections office to go in and audit every vote before they're certified. It's nonsensical to me. So there are certainly things in here that we expect our elections people to be doing, but they're already doing it. I'm not seeing anything that they aren't doing. I realize this is a national organization. We can't speak for any of them. We can't even speak for Placer County. We have no role. So that's my feeling. I would not participate in putting that together in any way. I don't believe it's necessary.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to help with that. I think there's a lot of good things we're doing in Placer County that deserve to be highlighted. And I think this could be a good opportunity to highlight those good things and, you know, just reaffirm the things we're doing right. And I just think there's a lot more that we could encompass beyond the language we see right here. So maybe we can follow up on that.
Okay, I appreciate any citizen that takes voting in their country seriously and goes to the effort. So I'm all in favor of the idea behind it. I can't justify these numbers because I haven't had time to do research. But if somebody like Sean wants to modify the declaration and bring it back, I think it'd be worth considering.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of tabling this then and going back to investigate the possibility of getting a resolution together that fits Colfax's view more directly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a direction then, city manager. We don't need to vote on that.
There's no.
Just direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no motion on.
Yeah, okay, so we have direction. And with that, we will take a 5-minute break.
Testing. Test, test, test. 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 I'm trying to fix it, but I don't, we tested it earlier on today, like called in, did Zoom. I didn't know it's not. And everybody's looking at me like it's my fault. Yeah, man. Depends on who you ask. Test. Testing. Testing. What he had it on was that. Test. And that's where it's coming out of the computer. But you can't hear me any other way. I was on speaker 2. Hello? Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Shows I'm talking, but nobody can hear me. Test, 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 testing, 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 testing. It comes out of there when I'm on that one, but I can't get it under anything else. Test, test, test. Try muting that one. Test, test. Right out there. Now if I go, whoop,
Not that she wants me, it's just total.
realize everybody is on the yeah. I hope they didn't read something to hide.
I shouldn't say anything. I really have to pee. Like.
Test, test, test. You can only hear me if I'm this way. Test, test, test.
Sean Loman calling Sean Loman. Sean Loman calling Sean Loman. Oh, no. Sean Loman calling Sean Loman. Oh, no. Sean Loman calling Sean Loman. Oh, no.
Okay.
When I take a vote on that or just declare it? Just declare it?
motion. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion that we adjust the agenda order again, in respect for those that are here for the skate park, and especially because we do have kids that would like to participate. I would like to go ahead and move the skate park conversation now, and we'll do committee reports and city operations
Do I hear a second?
afterwards.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. Motion carries. Skate park. Ty Connors. Hobble up to the microphone.
I have to leave the dais. I live within, my property is 50 feet away from the skate park. And I'm not allowed to vote on it.
Should we make him exit through the back door?
Again, thanks to Mayor, City Council. Again, I'm just Ty Connors. I'm not Lieutenant Connors because I'm with the nonprofit Colfax Green Machine. And thanks to the kids for hanging out this late. I know that we were kind of scheduled, how the schedule is going. We thought they were going to be up earlier, but appreciate the kids for hanging in there and everybody else. Again, we're gonna bring before you basically, you know, in past discussions with the council meetings is that, you know, our current design that we have for the skate park is going out of budget.
Green light. Green light's good. Okay, so again, I'll start over. So Ty Connors, Mayor, City Council. Before you is, you know, in the past city council meetings what we had, you know, with our current, you know, budget that we have for the skate park, that our current design was basically out budgeted. We were way over budget with it. And so we partnered up with New Line Skate Design and basically creating a new design to fit current budget of actually cash and in hand and with our grants and also with our in-kind donations. So we're going before you just to kind of revisit the design that we have, looking for your approval to move forward into the engineer plan phase. In the plans itself, I won't take away from the Canton and Chris who's online are going to basically go over the presentation. But since the last council meeting, we did do a geo study at the skate park or the location itself to kind of update the geo study that we had prior to. And also we did a, you know, kind of like a parcel request to make sure that we weren't encroaching on any type of other properties as we did before with PCWA. So with further ado, I'd like to thank so Canton Russell and Chris Long from New Line Skate Design. They're going to go over the presentation. We also have Robert Dugan in the house here from CalSEMA to talk about, you know, the skate park in itself. And also he's going to also represent Tiger with Dana Davis. And they also have Crystal Howard for Skate for Concrete. It's another nonprofit that's helping us out during this project. So with further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Canton and Chris.
Hey, Ty, thanks for having us. Could you also promote Canton to a panelist? Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Shauna, do you have the presentation part?
Yeah, I'm on there too, Chris. I can start here.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks everyone for having us. My name is Canton Russell and I'm the Director of Design for New Line Skate Parks. I live in San Diego, California, and Chris is in San Francisco. We have a team that has worked on this project. I know Brett's on the call also listening to us and he worked on the original phase of this project, but I'm happy to, you know, be doing this and getting to this level. There's a lot of community support and this project has been involved with the community input. and we were able to look at what was done previously, the previous plans, and just trying to build off of it based on the site conditions and the budget we have to work with. So that first page here, you can kind of see the site we're working with within a lot of different kind of boundaries, including the water tower, thinking about the access to the site, ways for people to have some viewing space and other multi-use activity opportunities. So if we can go to the next page there, getting into the first item, just looking, we just re-looked at what the site conditions were. As Ty mentioned, we did re-look at the soils conditions with the geotech report. We did have the title company verify the property boundaries because we saw that there was a fence line as shown there kind of jagging into the skate park limited work footprint. We have also looked at the drainage patterns coming off the hill and basically thinking about stormwater conditions. How are we going to get this project permitted with the idea of where the stormwater is going to go and how it's captured? We're trying to be respectful of the other boundaries we have shown there. And but still, through all these things and considerations shown on this exhibit, making sure that we have a good sized, fun sized park for the community to enjoy with a lot of different opportunities and a variety of progression opportunities from beginners all the way to advanced. So you can go to the next slide there. These are some photos of the existing site conditions. Again, just looking at the fence lines, building boundaries, what parts of the building are going to remain, what parts of the building are going to be removed. Again, just trying to maximize the area that we have for not only the rideable area, but also for spectators and people to access the site. You can also see some kind of blue lines there showing some drainage patterns. You go next slide. This slide shows it, the kind of drainage patterns a little bit more in detail. Again, just being respectful of how to integrate the skate park into the site first and foremost. We want this to feel more like a park that you can ride in. We also want to make sure there's good accessibility for people who might be disabled. We do have not only skateboarders, bikes, scooters, roller skaters, etc., riding these facilities, but also people who are coming into here to ride with wheelchairs. So we are trying to make it accessible into the skate park. And then from there, a nice landing zone is sort of a staging area. And then there also is a contained bowl that's not too aggressive, but great for beginners, but also for intermediate and advanced riders to enjoy themselves and have fun. I would say that this park is sized and scaled to be fun size for the community. We are not trying to design something super extreme for an event that only happens once a year. However, if there is a desire from the community to have classes, clinics, learning opportunities, and local events, it is totally capable of accomplishing that. So you can also see kind of right there some of the drainage patterns. We have done our research working with the city, and we do have it on staff civil engineer, as well as working with the local civil engineering firm to verify that we can indeed have the site at the elevation we're showing, and that in the bowl zone, there is a drain at the bottom to capture the water and then to safely drain it out to an inlet that works with the elevations we have. And this page is just to verify that we have looked at those stormwater conditions. We have looked at the geotechnical conditions and showing our approach there to verify that it actually works. Next page. This page is just a summary of some of the stakeholder engagement we went through. There was already extensive input from the community on what it is that the local riders wanted, but we revisited it with an explanation of how we got to where we are now with a revised footprint and a layout and revised elevations that actually work with what we have. And so we presented two different design options, different layouts, different kind of features and functionality. And we got really good input from that user group on what it is that they liked and did not like. And also, again, respecting what we've already heard that they had shared previously. So with that input and that feedback, we were able to revise and come up with one solid design that seemed to really check a lot of the boxes of what everyone was looking for. And we heard some of that validated, based on what we're showing you tonight. So go to the next page there. The other thing we heard from everybody was the importance of identity. I've heard a lot of passion and pride for the city of Colfax this evening, and we want to respect that. So with that in mind, we were thinking of different kind of thematic colors and other themes that really are going to put this on the map to know that people are riding a skate park in Colfax. So on the page here, we're showing some things that represent some of the railroad history, some things that look a little bit more industrial, some colors that might be more in line with what you would see in the city of Colfax, and ultimately what the riders themselves were very interested in, where they felt that this would really set this apart from other skate parks in this area in California. So trying to keep this to feel more native and integrated, we wanted to just kind of share this page of things that we heard and have been developing as we continue with this design process. And so as we go to the next page, I'll pass it over to Chris, who will go into some of the more detailed skate park features.
Yeah, thanks. So essentially what we're looking at here is our final concept design in plan view. And this concept represents a marriage of all of the items that the community gave us input on from the best of both options that we presented to them. The things that were most important to them, kind of working from top to bottom on this design, was a nice kind of accessible, comfortable entry right where you see that number 1 at the top. That's where you're going to really enter the skate park and then have a chance to stand there and take in what's going on and then enter the zones that's a best fit for you. Right next to that, we have the bowl, which is represented by 5. That transitional area is really great for the community because it's what we would call fun sized. It's very approachable for beginners, but also is still going to be challenging for the more advanced riders to keep them engaged. And then the zone below the bowl, kind of on the lower half of this whole skate park, we would call kind of this street area. And that zone is going to be a lot more open and lower speed, which can accommodate a lot of beginners, but also give a lot of open space for people to push around and interpret this terrain really creatively, which was one of the priorities that we heard from the community, that they wanted a space that was going to be flexible and open and really accommodate all types of wheels, whether it's skateboards, bikes, roller skates, scooters, wheelchairs, you name it, this can really accommodate for it. And we've put this all together in a way that's going to feel accessible and welcoming to everyone, with even a possible spectator zone on the very bottom where you see that green shade shelter and then 2 picnic tables. We see that space as being a zone where spectators and users can both share it, feel comfortable and out of the way of some of the action, put their stuff down and really just enjoy the space. So we're hoping that those elements really make this place comfortable for users and people who might not even, use the skate park and are just interested in it or want to share the space. We want this to feel really welcoming to everyone. The other things that you can see on this plan are those stars that are indicating staging and rest areas. That's a really important thing for people to feel like they're out of the way, and they can just take some time to enjoy the space and not feel, like they're going to get in the way of someone else's line. And it can also increase the holding capacity of the skate park so more people can use it at once. One thing to note too is that all of these elements are set up so that you can progress on them. Pretty much everything in this park is rideable from beginners all the way through intermediate and advanced users. So that will help people really stay engaged. And whether you are an experienced rider that is, older, younger, a male or a female, it's really going to accommodate kind of everyone in this whole space. We're also considering the edge conditions where we see some fences that are being maintained, and then also some kind of critical buffers from the splash pad, and just interactions with other elements that are existing that we know need to maintain access. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is a three-dimensional representation of the current design that we're showing. You can see kind of a idea of what these features look like in kind of a vertical element. The bowl is closed, so that zone is kind of independent and is pretty much one user at a time. And it's separated from kind of the lower street zone, which is the terrace that's closer to the spectator zone. So you can get an idea of what that space feels like, how open it is, and kind of how approachable these features are. All of these elements too were, reinforced by the community that it was what the terrain that they would like to use. And you can also start to see how this is integrated into the site, where there's some, soft buffers with landscaping and fences where we need them. And then also open space where we want this to feel really welcoming, and enticing for community members to come and enjoy the space, so it doesn't feel like it's only for users. You can also see some of the colors that we're starting to integrate into this to really make it feel unique and custom. And then that spectator space that really is, we're thinking is a huge element to the success of this project, and can really benefit the space and help it feel really well-rounded. Next slide. So when we think about how this actually gets constructed and bid out, this project we're assuming gets bid out and we'll produce construction documents for that. And we've started to put together a cost estimate breakdown of what we anticipate, an engineer's estimate for the construction of this project, on the right side. And we're assuming that it's going to shake out around $550,000 for the skate park. And then we've also included some elements that we will indicate as alternates, meaning that if the contractor comes in at a favorable price, then we'll get, all of the elements that we're seeing. But if there's the case where the bids come in really high, then those elements will not be accepted, and we'll just get kind of the base bid that does not include those extras. We're doing that to ensure that the skate park gets built, and that we can do, get still a high performing kind of skate park for the cost that we do have. We're also assuming that there are a really wide range of donations, and we were really, impressed and excited about the groups in the local area that have come forward and offered some really generous donations to support the construction of the project, not only in materials, but also in delivery of those materials to the site. So those kind of nice, generous donations will go a really long way in getting this project built. And we're assuming that that's going to allow this all to get built within this budget that we're showing here tonight.
I also want to point out that at this phase, we are trying to just get everyone's approval and general direction to just move forward with this conceptual schematic design. And we are holding a 15% contingency at this phase because we know it's still conceptual. So as we work through the more detailed construction documentation, that contingency would then most likely come down to be a little bit tighter, but we're holding it a little bit high to ensure, like Chris mentioned, that we are going to have this bid out in budget. And that way, some of those alternates hopefully can come into the base bid if these numbers hold true to where we're at the conceptual phase.
Right. And then if we go to the next slide, we'll just touch briefly on an anticipated schedule. So if we get the approval to move forward, we'll almost immediately start design development documents. And that will lead right into construction documents in the start of December. And then ideally, we would like to bid this out in kind of the early spring in the January, February, March kind of time period, which would lead to a construction phase that starts in the spring and is hopefully wrapped up by the end of the summer.
And we work with a lot of different skate park contractors in the capacity that we design it and the people would bid on it. And we would make sure to get a qualified skate park contractor on board with our specifications. And with that, you know, with the window we're showing there, we always seem to get better numbers in a competitive bid and more of the off season, which is in the winter. And that kind of time frame we're showing there. So we definitely have timed this schedule to bid this out at the best time of the year when people are a little bit less busy. And that way we get more people bidding with more favorable numbers. And that is what we have to share this evening. And if there's any questions or comments, we're happy to address them.
So does council have any questions for Canton or Chris that they can probably answer better than I?
And, thanks again to Ty and everyone who's on the call here. And like Chris said, the generous donors who are willing to donate concrete and other materials. This is always truly a community effort, and we're just happy to be a part of that process.
And just so you guys know, New Line, I mean, these guys, I've been really impressed, and also Caroline and Sean have been involved with the skate park ad hoc committee, being part of this process and kind of understanding. But New Line has been truly an eye-opening experience for me of how they are paying attention to detail to every aspect of it. And but also where they're coming from and their company, they build skate parks throughout the world. So this is something that's recognized by skate park users of this company as far as coming from a reputable design. And then also, like say, when it comes to that bid process, that the contractors have to have that skate park design experience and stuff like that, and not just any contractor. But with that being said, I appreciate to Canton and Chris for the presentation on that. But again, we're looking to hopefully get your approval to move forward with this conceptual design and onto the construction engineering plan phase.
Comments? Who goes first? Us or the public?
Is there any ask for?
Is there any other public comment? They go first.
Welcome.
Go ahead. Please.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Robert Dugan here. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm wearing several hats. I know that you all know, but for full disclosure, I'm also a county elected official, volunteer in my community. I grew up here in Placer County. So I got my 60 years logged. This is just a terrific project. You know, I loved hearing, Connie, what you said, because much of Placer County was supported after World War I by all our veterans that came back and built posts. We had posts in Colfax, Roseville, Rockland, all the way down and all the way up the hill. And they brought their sense of community to add to the existing sense of community that had been created. And then we withstood World War II. And they got stronger. Of course, we know they're getting a little weaker now because they're aging out. And some of our younger veterans, like many of my family members, are not active. But that concept of community building a project. So as a local official, I can tell you, I was just floored. About 10 years ago when I got involved with the Big Green Machine, and many of you know I'm up here for a few celebrations a year because I live a little bit down the hill. But I'm up here because you guys have the community like the community I grew up in down the hill. They're losing it. You guys still have it. And the amount of community support for this skateboard park just blew me away. So I got involved personally, started writing checks, started, making big donations at the crab feed for the Big Green Machine because you deserve it. Now I get to switch hats because I'm also the president and CEO of the California Construction and Industrial Materials Association. And on behalf of the president of Tykert Materials, Dana Davis, who could not be here, he's got a family health emergency. He has worked hard we're involved with Skate for Concrete across the country. There's no more worthy community for this level of support. In most of those places, they pay for all of their concrete. Here, Tykert has worked tirelessly to gather all of the Northern California concrete companies, many of whom you see their trucks drive up and down 80 and up and down your community, to donate material and donate time to this project. You know, and that's well into the six figures of donated material because of how worthy this project is and because of how much community support it is. And because I can't walk on the doggone lot up there without these guys showing up saying, hey, are you here to talk about the skateboard park? And they're friends. I mean, the amount of community support, right, that goes on that has built this is akin to what we saw, right, many decades ago. Right. And I love the idea of renaming that ballpark and making sure the veterans are memorialized in it because they did it. Pardon? Well, correctly named, right. But the point, you got to honor when the community comes together. And that's why our members are here. So I'm here on behalf of Dana to re-emphasize our support. We're thrilled that we were able to help get and help underwrite getting New Line Skateboard Park, the professionals involved that do this they do skate parks for a living. It's a little different than curb and gutter and a little different than highways, right? It's its own thing. Crystal, I almost said Crystal Waters. Crystal Howard with Crystal Waters Consulting is involved with this nonprofit. I seem to think she must have created it, but that partnership with Tony Hawk, right? And bringing that to, and now you've finally got us to that project level, right? We had some challenges, some fits and starts. We've held the industry together. We're here to support. So I'm here to support the project and encourage you to build it for the next generation because they're going to pay my Social Security, right? So I don't think I have anything else to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Any other comment?
Really quickly, we do have Crystal Howard online who is raising her hand, so we'll have her speak because she's part of it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the city council for having me be able to talk and to hear this presentation. And I want to thank Ty for his tireless efforts of promoting and advocating for this skate park. And thank you, New Line Skate Parks, for doing such an amazing job and helping the community through this project and getting a great design within budget. And so you guys have done an amazing job. And thank you, Robert and Dana, and all of the concrete producers in Northern California that have wanted to come together and donate concrete and materials and labor and trucking and everything to this project. And it's really becoming a community effort. And with Skate for Concrete, our mission is really to do education and workforce development by connecting the concrete industry with the skate community. And it's really about elevating and creating awareness of career opportunities in our local community for the younger generation to find ways to find an amazing career. And I think this is a great opportunity for this community to not only give the younger generation a place to play safely and to have a great asset for the community to use, but also to create awareness of great local jobs that are available for our younger generation in our backyard. So thank you so much for getting it to this place, and we're really excited to see the schedule and get it built and have amazing grand opening celebration to see this come to fruition for this community. So thank you, and I support this project wholeheartedly.
Any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Madden Dion, and I'm a scooter, skate, and BMX rider. I was looking at the bird's eye view of the layout for the skate park, and I thought it was amazing. It's perfect for us riders and anyone else. I don't have any complaints on my side besides the 3-stair that has like no run up. So I think it should be moved a little bit to the left from the east side view of out of the way from the bowl. And I think it's the perfect size and it looks way more better and rideable than the streets.
Take your turn.
My name is Sailor McSorley. I skateboard. I thought the skate park looked really good. And sometimes it's hard to get a ride to Auburn. So even I used to live in Alta. So when you come down from the hill from Alta, it'd be a lot better if we could just drive to Colfax rather than going all the way down to Auburn.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. Ty, thank you very much for all you do. Everybody else, I appreciate it. Mark, your speech was really great about the ballpark, and I really support the true naming of the mobile ballpark, and with the new sign would be great. My name is Bobby Candler. I've lived here since 1976. That being said, I think I've needed a skate park here since 1983. So I'm just hoping that you all do the right thing and vote this plan into effect and get this park built once and for all, because it's about time that these kids had somewhere to go instead of, these streets that have potholes in them all over the place, and they can barely skate, without getting in trouble most of the time. That's all that I grew up with, was getting in trouble. I'm too old now to be able to skateboard, but I like to enjoy coming, watching some of the kids that my friends are still raising, come, and hopefully someday my grandkids will be able to enjoy a skate park in their own grandfather's hometown. So I know you guys will do the right thing and vote this in, and let's get this started. Appreciate it. Thank you all very much. And thank you to the designers and Crystal, everybody else. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, now skating up to the podium is.
Hi, most of you know me just because I'm a lovely local. My name is Jamie Jackson. I am one of the original youth promised this skate park over 20 years ago. I do still skate. I spoke in front of Placer County a while ago advocating for this, and they mentioned how Colfax really just needs something. And I think a lot of us agree. I agree wholeheartedly with Connie that, this community needs something that in 1949, 75 years ago, it needed something for the community. It needed something for its youth. It's been almost a quarter of a century that we haven't had a pool or a skate park. I want to say many years ago, I was in a picture on the Colfax record, leaning against the theater, advocating for a skate park for Writers Union. Writers Union is no longer here. The theater is no longer here. The record is no longer in print. And there's no pool, no skate park. I was on the swim team too. I did enjoy that. I would like something. Back to my quick notes. Yeah, I don't believe that we need to reinvent the wheel. The space is there. It's been advocated for the community for many, many years. 75 years it's been advocated for the community needing a space to be there. I'm not quite sure what the true holdup is at this point, considering majority of the materials are being donated. Everyone that I have spoken to, aside from very few people who don't skate and don't enjoy watching skating, have found it to be a very great idea, something for the community, something to do. The bars are closing. We're gonna recreate at home. There's got to be something to look forward to at this point. I feel very disappointed that I've been coming to so many of these things for so long, and there's people older than me and people younger than me that are begging for something within reach we can't afford to go to Auburn. We certainly can't afford to go to Woodward. I just wish that something could come to fruition within my lifetime before I need a hip replacement. I would like to, if the skate park comes and I have a hip replacement, I will get on it in that wheelchair, like they said. I very much, at this point, would appreciate just an unpolished piece of concrete. So if within reason, it could get done within a certain amount of time, I do believe that the city would be absolutely willing to volunteer. Like the 1949 newspaper article said, I would like to think that the council would be behind it and that the city would be behind it. Everyone that I seem to be in contact with wants something to recreate with. We're just losing everything. It costs $17 a day to go to the lake that doesn't have water in it. It's just very difficult to want to raise your kids and have family and be a part of something that doesn't have anything. So I really appreciate everyone's time here, and I'm sorry I'm emotional about it, but I'm ready to skate. And I have a whole roller derby team that's ready to skate. We're willing to rent the facilities. We've mentioned it multiple times. For multiple years, we've just been trying to find a space to be. So thank you for listening to me, and I can't wait to skate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Sherry Peterson. I'm a local girl, and I am super excited. I looked at Facebook randomly and saw this plan, and I'm super excited. And I just want to make sure that the skate park has a place for rollerbladers and roller skaters. That's my major concern. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment?
Seems like I'm Mr. No tonight. There's another side to this story that hasn't been presented. I respect Ty and all he's tried to do. He spent 9 years trying to raise enough money for this skate park, but it wasn't there. The community didn't support it. And consequently, thanks to the concrete company, they supported it. And there is now $488,000 of taxpayer money went into this park because that support wasn't there. Again, all due respect to Ty and everybody that spoke tonight. This is something that comes from our own documentation here at the city. Get my glasses on. It's about expenditures. It says, before the city undertakes any agreements that would create fixed ongoing expenses, the cost implications of such agreements will be determined for current and future years. That's called mitigation. There are two people behind the dais right now that have promised my wife and I, who supported kids recreation our entire adult life, that there would be a mitigation meeting. So I'm counting on that in the future. And I'm just going to talk about it a little bit right now. One is there's a very steep slope between that skate park and our property. And for anybody that thinks that that slope won't come down, it's already coming down underneath the retaining wall that holds up our property behind the water tank. Maintenance costs need to be addressed. And the two I'm most concerned about are security and safety, because I've lived above that park for 27 years, and it is not the same place at night that it is in the daytime. And I'm concerned actually about the safety of the kids. And some more basic concerns. It has never been clear whose project this is. Whether it's a city project or a Green Machine project has been very murky. And because of that, some of the transparency that would have been there for a city project isn't there. My biggest concern, again, I gave my whole adult life to kids recreation. We're going to put kids in there on varying equipment with varying age and varying skill levels with no supervision whatsoever and no protection after dusk when theoretically the skate park will close. And I'm not really convinced that you all as a council know enough to make the decision to go forward. You need to address that mitigation. And it's long overdue. And again, whose project is it? Is it going to get tossed over the fence by Green Machine to the city? Is that the intention? One last, that's what I expect, yes. One last thing that I would like to just touch on. Actually, I think I'll not address that for now. I expect a mitigation meeting from you. I expect that these things will be addressed. I was going to ask Shanna, is there still time? A minute? If you would put that first photograph that was up there regarding the skate park design. I'll tell you where our first interest came from. You see that water tank? Right above that water tank is our home. And all the property along the left side of the skate park is ours. I used to walk along there with my dog and watch Ed Marson doing the same. This community gave and gave and gave and gave to that park, and everything that was done there was donations of labor and money from the community. This project is nothing like that. There's been some mention of noise. If you look again at that tank, I think that there must be some concern by the proponents about noise, because for the sound test that they did, they put the microphone on the other side of that tank. Again, mitigation.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Going once, going twice. We come back to the council. Comments from the council.
If it's
Are we asking me to unmute or? I think, Ty, we can let the council share any comments before we comment back.
Maybe we should have a mitigation meeting if we're being requested, have another mitigation meeting on this. I think most of the concerns that were brought up have been addressed repeatedly as far as security and safety of the site and control over the site. So we'll just skip that. But other than that, I think it's a great project. Thank you guys at New Line for all you've done. Thank you, Robert, for still keeping everybody together for all the donations and everything. And Ty, thank you for your unwavering dedication to this project and getting it done. I hope we all agree and move forward on this tonight. That's all I got. Let's keep moving.
Any other comments?
I just had a quick question and a comment. One, I love the Gantt chart. I love the detail of the Gantt chart and the timeline. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I also appreciate the simplified budget breakdown with contingency. So thank you for that, because I think everyone knew I was going to ask all those questions. So I appreciate it. When the final submittal of the plans come through, are we going to be, is the intention for us to have a meeting here with council to approve that final one before it goes to bid? Is that the plan? I'll leave that question for everybody.
My understanding is that it has to go through, obviously with any plan review, it'd go through the city engineer to look over those plans to make sure that they're approved. So.
Okay. So when we get the final plans approved, is the intention to bring it back to council so that we can finalize the ongoing mitigation costs? What is the intention there? Are we gonna insert a meeting right there or? Okay. That'd be good so we can, finalize that and then go straight out to bid. But I'm really happy with the design package and the schedule and the budget.
Okay, Carolyn, any comments?
For the most part, I've just been really impressed watching New Line put this together in the last few months, having multiple Zoom calls with them and stuff. They've really done a good job in listening to the feedback as to what they thought was going to be the most useful and trying to maximize the space, but not make it crowded at the same time. So I think they've done a really good job of putting together a good presentation and a timeline. So about it.
Sorry, I don't mind thanking people. I don't think I hit Andrea and the Green Machine because they've done so much for this project too. Thank you guys so much for all the fundraising and all the events and everything you've done to put all this together. A lot of hard work, and we can't wait to get this project going for you.
Here, here.
My only comment is I would have liked to have seen this built at the community center, but that's water that never went over the dam. So.
Yeah, Ken, can you, I think that's at with council. Can you reply to some of the comments that were made?
Yeah, going back to some of the user comments, we heard from the young scooter, skater, BMXer about, the stairs and the bank. That's an easy adjustment if everyone agrees with that. I think that's the only kind of major sort of feature comment we heard. We did hear from the advocates who are roller skating and roller derby. As mentioned in the presentation, this facility is definitely designed for all wheel, except for non-motorized all wheels. So yes, roller skating, roller blading is definitely an intended use for this space. And then as far as safety concerns, yes, we deal with this a lot. And as Ty mentioned, we build all over the world. I've done probably 350 skate parks, and a lot of them have been done in California. So we fully intend, as we develop these documents, to acknowledge the signage that is required to post so that people know they're entering into a all-wheel skate park facility, that it is a ride at your own risk. We can also list some of the recommended items, recommended safety equipment, but we treat this like as any other park facility. And I've worked with a lot of people within the state of California, lawmakers on what those current laws state and how they operate, and how to protect agencies like yourself from any kind of liability. That's our job, is to sort of bridge the gap for the community, but also you as the agency, to make sure that we don't want any issues or problems to occur within the skate park facility. We want this to be around for many decades. As has been acknowledged, everyone who's worked this hard to get it to this place deserves to have this last for a long time. So we definitely intend to address any concerns that there are, and mitigating any kind of safety concerns. We can definitely evolve that conversation for hours and operations and things like that, as far as how you access it, when it's closed, that type of thing. The hillside, we're definitely acknowledging the slope. And as we mentioned in the beginning through the slides, we have worked with the local civil engineering firm to acknowledge that slope and the drainage patterns, and creating a buffer and a setback from that slope. So from the original skate park design that was worked on years ago, we've actually moved the skate park footprint inward to address that and to allow swales around the edges. And also for maintenance and costings like that, the design you're seeing in the presentation, we're using a lot of very sustainable bulletproof materials. Not only is the concrete mix designed to handle the wear and tear of the use that it's intended for, Also, a lot of the metal edging that we're proposing is going to hold up with that kind of usage so that from the studies that has been done, working with the Tony Hawk Foundation, now the skate park project and many others, the maintenance cost year over year is very minimal. The average, believe it or not, is only $500 a year because we're spending most of the money upfront to have everything very durable so that the agencies aren't spending a lot of money year over year maintaining something. So we know how hard it is and what kind of struggle it is to have that kind of budget allocated for facilities. So we spend that money in design to really alleviate a lot of those long-term maintenance costs that you'd normally find in another public recreation facility.
And just to add on the security aspect of it, when I was a station commander up here in Colfax is when we had the security cameras and other stuff installed where it was notifying our dispatch center when we actually had movement up in the up in the ball field area. Obviously I can see adding in an additional camera system or something as well for the skate park for those after hour notifications. So that can also be, as part of that additional, security aspect of it.
Yeah, one thing I'll note that I heard after we presented, number one, we don't have a lot of projects like this that are supported this heavily by donations where a concrete company or concrete association is willing to make sure all the concrete is donated. That is pretty much like less than 5%. So this is a very special opportunity that we don't see that happens very often. The other thing that we don't see happen very often is the kind of support that, Ty has shown with the police department. I mean, we definitely work with law enforcement to make sure that they are on board with the design for safety reasons and visibility purposes. So that's easier to monitor. But to have, public law enforcement and the agency to be this involved in every step of the way is also very unusual and highly appreciated that everyone can work together to make sure this is done the right way. Does that help address everything we've heard?
Okay, do I hear a motion from?
I move to approve item 9A.
All those in favor? Do I hear a second?
I will second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Chris. Crystal.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Ty. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Our last 5-minute break.
People that don't want to stay.
Yeah. Let them leave with honor.
Yeah,
5-minute break.
because all we have left is our reports and the orders. Anytime we have a spicy topic, it's good to do a break right after. When we can. I'm happy with the new design. I like it.
We did a meeting a month ago. They had some two proposals.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Can I ask you if you ever watch that TV show, Lincoln Lawyer?
Yeah, no, right?
I probably wasn't clear enough with all that meeting that we is
not in
to approve the
acting.
ongoing mitigation cost. We can incorporate it into our permit.
Yeah, no, I would look at
Yeah.
it's on Netflix, right? I know I watched part of it. It was, yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, and then another good one is White Collar,
In the.
which is kind of a.
In the state project since the first thing. I feel like I watched that.
It's a mutation.
So the moment that we excited about.
Oh, they both do a lot of clever detectives.
That's from that.
Right.
It's on Netflix as well.
Yeah.
I'll take a look for it. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and which is a variation of monk. You've ever seen that TV? That's one of my favorites. Okay. Yeah, he's always doing clever things and figuring things out. You know, it's more of a cerebral rather than.
Because we're gonna need to.
Punching each other. Yeah. Yeah. Monk is definitely
Just watching.
Oh, yeah. Now, Monk is similar to that, but without the blood and fighting. Yeah. That's. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
I had stopped watching it, so like, there was like. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. I enjoyed the presentation. Yeah.
Sounded that way.
Yeah, so like Gary said, it's a huge project. It sounds like machines are being. The city is.
So, but that's what you're talking
That sounds like a court battle.
So they don't know.
I need to talk on about.
You see it working as.
I know that.
You ready? Calling Sean, calling Larry. Reopen the meeting. Council business, time for council report. Sean, put that muffin down and give us your council report.
We had our fire safe council meeting last week instead of this week because city council chambers will be occupied. I gave an update on the wildfire sensor deployment. I've got a few more properties, and hopefully this Sunday I'll be putting my first sensor up. Get it tested. So after that, I've got at least 3 other locations to put sensors up. So hopefully I'll be moving forward, ready for the end of fire season. Just in time. And I think that's all I had.
Okay, Larry.
Last night I attended the Sierra Vista Center board meeting, and it appears to me like they are getting more and more viable. They have a lot of events going on. They have an active new board that's very engaged, and I think it's a very positive situation. I won't speak any more about it than that. As part of my role on the Economic Development Board for Placer County, I've arranged a review by the Economic Development Group from Placer County to review the theater, review their business plan, and find out what the theater is doing and help them with a way to go forward. And I've also been active in a group that will ultimately be called Save the Theater, and just a group of people that live here that again would help the theater get going. And one more thing, it was mentioned a little earlier by the Chamber of Commerce, Amanda. Colfax needs a brand, and we need to figure out what it is. So it's set up now for, let's see, it would be the first Thursday in November. There's a coffee and conversation group that meets at 8:00. And I'm going to run a brainstorming session and invite all the business people from downtown Colfax and anybody that's interested in downtown Colfax in particular. And the way a brainstorming session works, and I'm going to run it, is no judgment is allowed. No things like we already tried that or that won't work because or anything like that. And the idea is that we let ideas feed off each other, and somebody will be up there, maybe Amanda, on a whiteboard, writing down every idea that comes from anybody. And then we'll try to sort that out and get the group back together again and figure out who we are. And probably we're a railroad town, but there's a lot more going on around here than railroad. We have rivers and lakes, and anyway, enough said. That's it for me.
Okay, Carolyn.
All right, from the meeting side, we had the Air Pollution Control District meeting and SACOG, which are always exciting and long. Not a whole lot to report back out of it, but there has actually been lots of stuff going on in Colfax lately and even more coming up. We did have the Placer Repertory Theater up here last week doing their play in the theater for Macbeth. And I think we had close to 70 people in the theater. So the theater was quite happy with the turnout, and Placer Repertory Theater really enjoyed it. So it looks like there's some good movement going over there. There's a very, very strong chance that Santa is going to be in the theater this year, including a model train setup provided by the Wandering Railroad. There is going to be a gingerbread contest that will be happening as well, of everything from kids, adults to professional pastry chefs and bakers. That is being worked on as well. For right now. You do have the Elementary School Fall Festival on the 25th. And of course, we have the Haunted House coming up on the 26th and the 27th by the Green Machine. And the outdoor patio space is moving forward. Fortunately, we do not have to cut in a actual ramp, but we get to put in a temporary one that is going to get ordered hopefully this week. So the outdoor patio on North Main is going to actually get new tables and chairs, and we'll get there. Fencing, yes. It all hinged on what we had to do for the ADA access, but that is on the road, on the actual moving forward at this point. Hopefully there will be stuff ordered, if not by the end of this week, the beginning of next, so.
Okay, Trinity.
I have minimal reports because unfortunately I ran away and wasn't available for several weeks. So I apologize for that. Yeah, as soon as I got back, I got busy. But One thing I did hear from some of the business owners downtown is that the bathrooms being locked up has been a little problematic for them. So I did mention that I'd bring it back to see what kind of solutions we could find. As far as making sure that the bathrooms are accessible when they're needed. Like, for example, when the schools are having, away teams come, apparently there's been a few businesses where people are coming in, they need their children to use the restroom, et cetera. And, there isn't one that's very accessible during those evening hours when City Hall is closed. So I'm not sure what the solution is there, but maybe we could circle back on that and try to figure something out interim while we're finding a longer term solution. And then I think my other item I'll just save for the good of the order because that's right after this.
Okay, on the 12th, most of us went to the chili cook-off, and that was a big success. And it's good way to get people down the community and downtown. And
Two.
there were a couple
Yeah,
winners.
it was a pair.
I feel like this is very reportable.
It is.
Number 5, I think number 5 was
Yeah,
the
it
winner.
was- Yeah, no, I'm thinking future, not past. Hold on, give me a second. I'll come up with their names. Give me one
Okay.
second. It was two ladies. Hold on. They call themselves hold on. Hail Mary Hot Stuff had first place. Brandy Morrison was second. Leanne Cassidy came in third, and the People's Choice was Lori Coons. And so we ended up with 9 different chefs. And the rough guess is we actually had over about 125, 150 people, if not more, come and taste. We had people there waiting before we were actually ready to serve to eat.
That's awesome.
So it actually went very well. The wrecking group knocked it out of the park and everybody had a great time. But yeah, it was Hail Mary Hot Stuff.
Great turnout. And on the 16th, we had a closed session, which we can't talk about at this point, but maybe later. And then on the 17th, the Methodist Church has their monthly free lunch. So reminder out there in TV land, since there's more out there than in the audience, go to the Methodist Church on the 3rd Wednesday, or call Sharon Connors.
That's the Lions Senior Lunch.
Lions Senior.
Right, yeah.
And then
So
also
not
on the
everybody.
17th was a free meal at the American Legion put on at the VFW Hall. That was at 6 o'clock. And Cindy Gustafson was there and Kevin Kiley was there. And then an hour later at the theater, there was Macbeth was there and they had a good turnout. And then also a reminder that on the 3rd Saturday is the flea market at Sierra Vista Center. So support your local flea market and do your Christmas shopping early. And then today there was a 3-hour tour at a kiln along the Bear River. It's supposed to be the nicest one in California. And you'll get a chance to go the next time.
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, tour of the lime kiln. The nicest one, KILN, nicest one in California, but.
I apologize.
And then okay, now, any public comment on the good of the order? I'm sorry, city manager. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Tesla project is at ARCO, still moving forward. The city engineer and building official have completed their inspection of the site and given their notes to the designers. Cal OES has approved the latest RFP version for the FEMA home hardening and defensible space. So staff hopes to get that out for advertising this week or first of next week. So finally moving forward with that. The compost giveaway pad has been completed, and I still need to talk to R3 a little bit, our consultants, but we're planning on stocking that with compost come springtime for people's yards and gardens. Annual road striping will be taking place this Thursday and Friday, starting about 9 o'clock at night, all over town. The list is huge. With the biggest impact will be around about the roundabout where they'll be diverting some traffic. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And now, go to the order. Sean.
You made it to the VFW dinner, right, Kim? Yeah, okay, great. I'm glad that you made it because I was triple booked that night and I had to run a meeting here for the Fire Safe Council. So I apologize for missing it. It was, I was very bummed, but and that's, I have nothing.
Larry.
I think all the events that we're seeing in town are fantastic because the best way to get visitors to come downtown here is for the downtown to be busy with us. So the more events we do, the better. And the second thing that I'm a little bit involved with, I'm sorry that Connie isn't here anymore, but I remember walking along the slope on our property with our dog for years. And inevitably, 4 days out of 5, I'd say during the week, I could look down and see Ed walking his little dog, Charlie, down there. And he had so much to do with that park. And there's a group of us now that are moving forward on a plan to name that street, the one that's right behind the VFW American Legion Hall, to name that Ed Marson Way or something like that, and get a proper sign. So that's not as far along as what Connie spoke about, but she's all in favor of that. And that would be a dedication at some point in time to put that up.
Update them both at the same time. So when we submit those requests to Google and everybody else, they can properly update everything at once.
So donations accepted.
Do we have funding on that, by the way? Do we have a specific target?
I think that, well, what Connie is presenting, I think that Sharon Connors has been involved. I think she has somebody that does them for plaques for about $2,000, $2,000 or $3,000, and money is being collected by her. And it's coming through, I believe they're using the VFW nonprofit to hold the money. And the other one isn't quite that far along yet.
Okay.
There's no design for it.
Yeah.
Okay, Carolyn.
I already read it.
Yeah, it's Trinity.
So I got to thinking, I'm gonna start at the beginning. So at the beginning of this, we get a lot of requests for donations throughout the year. Some are for special events, some are for, just the nonprofits in general or different things that are coming up. Most recently, we made a very large donation to help with the sound system at the high school. We've got a need for the girls' basketball team. They really need new uniforms. And I don't know if you guys know how busy the girls' basketball teams are or any of the teams at the high school are, but it's not a one season thing for them. When they're not in season, they're competing in an additional league and it's year round. It's constant. And with these requests, we see a pretty good uptick in the volume of times that, people are coming to us asking the city to provide a donation, and we've tried to make the budget acceptably appropriate. And we always kind of come back to the conversation of like, how much have you guys raised and what does the total funding look like? And I'm wondering, and this is very preliminary, but based on a program that my daytime employer has, they have something where, if you have a cause that you believe in, they will do matching as long as you meet certain criteria and you kick off that fundraising. And I'm wondering if maybe at the city, we want to consider some structure like that where, we say, if this is something that you care about, we're willing to match those or something like that to say, if you raise $500, we'll donate $500, that kind of thing. I know I'm not doing a great job of articulating that, but, maybe if we're able to kind of put that out there, it might drive that spark we were talking about people stepping up and leading the charge on some of these fundraising efforts, because it's easier, probably not the right word. It's more convenient when you have an organization like a school or a team driving it because you have some structure behind it. But when we have these more individual efforts, I tend to see the same people stepping up over and over and over again. And it tends to be people who've been stepping up for decades. So it would be nice to maybe find a format that would encourage other people that care about different causes to say, oh, okay, you know, maybe it's not like a large amount, but if I can, you know, push this specific project we really want to see, I know that there is the potential of that being matched for my efforts going forward. Anyway, we can build on that later, but I just wanted to see if that's a conversation you guys would like to have.
Sounds reasonable.
And then going full circle back to the beginning of it, it's not a right now thing. Probably by spring, I'd like us to get an agenda item to discuss a potential donation towards the girls' uniforms, because I think that the performance that has been shown consistently over the years has shown a real community spirit. It's really spotlighted Colfax the last several years, especially. And their uniforms are getting a little dingy. They could really use new uniforms. So if we can consider a donation towards that, I would appreciate it.
I know I would support that. I've gone to all those games. They're very phenomenal program here.
And I'll start with the whole matching concept on that, but I don't want to say anything too preliminary. I want the coach to announce, not me.
Yeah.
So
If you see a girl standing in front of the Sierra Market or somewhere with tickets in her hand, that's probably what she's doing. You can buy for $20. You can buy a chance at a $500 drawing and get into one of the games for free. I forget what the day is. And then just to piggyback on something that you mentioned, I forgot about it. Next Friday at 5:15, we're all invited to go to the dedication for the sound system. They're going to do it at 5:15 before the football game next Friday, which would be the first, I think.
Okay, maybe you could adopt a player, like some people adopt the road.
I like it. I like it.
It's
Adopt a number.
yeah, adopt a number. That would be good. Yeah. Yeah.
The numbers change.
Well, we'll talk about, but to get the uniforms,
Yeah.
the numbers don't change.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my good of the order is along the discussion we had on election and voting. For decades now, I've been concerned about our low voter turnout. And over the last 16 presidential elections, the records show that 56% turnout is what we had in those elections. And then sometimes the high 57, and lately 62%. And I think the all-time high is 66.7% voter turnout, presidential election, which I think is shameful. So my good of the order is one of my favorite quotes from JFK. He wrote the Pulitzer Prize winning book, Profiles in Courage, where on the first page, he said, all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for enough good people to do nothing. So citizens of Colfax, go out and vote. With that, meeting is adjourned.
You gotta take public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Comment on our comment. Constant comment. Is there any comment from the public on our good of the order?
No, you're good.
Okay. Now we adjourn at exactly 9 p.m. October 23rd, 2024.